What it is, what it do. You already know who it is. Back again with another episode of the Doki Doki Plus, Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, Side Story Saga.
But before we begin, I want to show you guys some of the secrets I found looking around. I'll probably do more of a deep dive in the secrets later when I actually finish and 100% the game. But I thought I would just go into a little bit now since I thought this was pretty cool. I'll just put a timestamp here if you want to skip to the actual stories. But beforehand, I'm just going to go through the files here. Well, first I'll look at the mail. So when I open the mail, this is the first email I got out of many more I'm sure I'm going to get. This one's from Ive Laster. Have a nice weekend. I'm on leave for the rest of the week. Contact Ravi if you need to schedule server time. But I expect my jobs to run for a few days since we've collected so much data this week. How about we arrange a meeting to discuss the results when I return? Ive Laster, Senior Engineer for the Metaverse Enterprise Solutions. So there's actually more to the whole Metaverse Enterprise Solutions thing than meets the eye. It's kind of weird because it seems like some sort of underground, well, not underground group, but some sort of like organization that's like getting data from our playing of the game and the messages we have between each of the people in the files here. Like, okay, well, no, that's not something. Here's one, internal. It seems that messages going on between these people, they're doing this like under the table kind of research behind the backs of the higher ups that work here. Like it says here, this is a scratch disk. Do not use to store sensitive or permanent things. And you can't share or copy files to the disposable drive. Ria is working on setting up a proxy mail server so we can have proper remote communication without having to worry about the higher ups. Keep everything offline until then. Paula. Someone named Paula we don't know, but she's doing something to hide from the higher ups. I also went through the liberty of looking through each and every one of these files here to find something interesting. Like the meeting notes. So here we look through the meeting notes of what each member is trying to accomplish. Ro is on VM2, everyone else is on VM1. They have ideas for different data search types, but they need excess server time. Meeting over time, you know who went on too many tangents again. I need to be more assertive about staying focused. I thought this was a reference to Dan Salvato, but I don't know who they're talking. I don't know who you know who is actually. Then there's this file that says test. So I guess the test they were trying to do for the proxy mail server, I guess that's what this is. Go here. The only file out of here you can open is this one down here, where it says access keys found so far. You have key pair 1 for gear. You have 240, which I guess is a time, according to this. Then you have 221, which is a 3-digit number combination, which I think also might be a reference to the poem text, but I'll get to that later. So in here you have the other key pairs. They haven't found the 4th one. But if you go to the poem text files, which you can find under game, because you see each of these words have a different point combination system. Point combination value assigned to them. So I think if you find one that says 221, perhaps that will be the missing keyword that they're looking for. But you know what? I don't think that's actually the case though, because each of these have a different value system to them. Actually, no, maybe not. So if I could find a 221 sort of combination pattern here. Oh, and then by the way, you have this here that says 915-130. That's pretty interesting. Here's 223, which is close to what we were looking for, but not really. I mean, if anyone wants to look through this themselves, you're welcome to be my guest. I might look through this a little bit later on my own time and make a separate video about that. Anyway. So anyway, going back to the other files here, you can look through. Go here, 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 there's meeting notes 3, but you can't open that. None of these you could open, by the way, but I just found them and I thought that was cool. Here, here, here. You can't open that. Then we go 1, 3, 0. They're the second meeting notes, but you can't open those. In case you think I'm lying. Well, I can't open them yet. Maybe I could open this stuff later when I actually play through the rest of the game. Maybe, who knows? Again, you can't open that. But I managed to find all these, so I just thought I'd share. 4, you can't open that. Then let's see, 404. Which, haha, 404. You have DDLC.txt. I don't know what this is, but I can't open that yet. Then we have 501, which is the last of the files that I found, because I went through every single one of these, and these were the last of the things I found here. But so far, those are all the secrets I've seemed to find, and when I could open, and like I said, when I could actually open these files, I will make another video about that, because I think that would be cool to share. But in any case, let's get on with the show. Last episode we did balance. This time around we're going to do reflection. So we're going to waste no more time. Am I bothering you? Am I bothering you? No. Okay, just checking. And it's hard to tell since you always look so into what you're reading. Makes me scared to interrupt. Well, it's within my expectations to be interrupted when I read here. It's mainly when I'm by myself that I don't like it. That makes sense. I guess if you're here in the first place, then you're more ready to socialize. Even if it takes a little bit of prodding. It's not so bad to be social if I let others do the work. So it can be healthy to put myself in a social environment every now and then. It's mostly difficult when I don't know anyone, or there are too many people, or everyone is being too silly for me to keep up with. Yuri glances across the room at Sari and Natsuki. I knew she was going to say Sari and Natsuki. Sari has her head cocked back and her mouth open, trying to catch pieces of a cookie that Natsuki is lobbing into the air, but the pieces keep bouncing off her face and hitting the floor. Oh, I know that feel. Oh, that's rough. Maybe I should say something. No need. They just ran out of cookie. What a waste. They're really become good friends, haven't they? I'm happy. Sari seems particularly good at making that happen. But the two of them are both on the energetic side, so I suppose it works out well. Yeah, come to think of it, you and I haven't had many chances to talk one-on-one, have we? Though, that may be partially my fault, since I'm supposed to be the one engaging club members. Not at all. I've probably formed the habit of drawing minimal attention to myself. The responsibility is equally on me, at least to display some openness to engage. Well, how about during times like lunch? Do you meet up with friends? I just read. Oh. But I like it that way. I like being alone now. It suits me. It feels nice. Oh, it feels nice to be carried off again after a morning of classes. Do you always read fantasy? Oh, not always. I suppose it's all I have read recently, but only because I'm in the middle of this series. There's still 2 more books after this one. I guess those long books suit you well, since you spend so much time reading. Well, fantasy may be my favorite, but after all, I'm more or less indiscriminate to genres. I'll read anything with depth and maturity. Well then you really love Game of Thrones. It's long, the books are thick, and it's full of depth and maturity. Oh yeah? Even like romance? Well, those get my hopes up. There are a lot of books that have elements of romance in them. Oh, come on, Yuri. You know what I mean. Monica lowers her voice.
It's a guilty pleasure of mine, so I won't tell anyone if you do too.
Maybe more when I was in middle school. I mean, I was really lonely and people were mean to me a lot. So it kind of felt like... Please don't make me think about the past.
Sorry, I'm just kind of super curious. You know, we should totally pick out a romance novel to read. That'd be so much fun.
Absolutely not.
Really? Even if it was just between us?
Try asking someone with no shame, like Natsuki.
Dang.
Yuri does not like Natsuki at all. At all, man. Dang. What a savage.
Ouch.
Ah, sorry. I swear I didn't mean that. Yes, you did. That's why you said it. If you didn't mean it, you would have said it. Just admit you don't like her, Yuri. Jeez.
Well, I guess it's my fault for pressing you. I like that for things in my past, too. You know, things I feel too embarrassed to re-experience.
There's nothing wrong with growing out of things. It happens to everyone. For instance, Natsuki's interest in manga reminds me quite a bit of how intense I used to be about my own interests. It makes me think that she'll likely grow out of it too. Or maybe not, you know, she could just be a lover of manga and anime for a long, long time. There are plenty of people like that right now. In fact, there are people who made a whole career off of that. Oh, I completely missed that part.
Hey, were you talking about me?
No. We were just...
Oh, we were just talking about how our interests have changed over the years. When did you get into manga? When did you get into manga, Natsuki? Like a couple years ago, I guess. I was already sort of into it before that, but I wasn't really going hard until then. Oh yeah? What was it that inspired you to get more into it? I don't know. I guess. Let me think. It was after I discovered a series that I really liked. Yeah. I was just really fed up with a lot of things. And I got super into this one series that I really related to. I guess I had an edgy phase where I just hated everyone around me and wanted to be by myself.
Which is funny, because that's kind of what Yuri's going through right now. And Monica realizes that too!
He's like, hey, kind of like Yuri.
Monica! I'm not edgy! It's like, you know, it's funny. The one who says she's not edgy is the one who loves to play with knives. Oh!
Sorry.
That's completely wrong. So...
It's still cool that you both really found your thing. They're almost like complete opposites, but it sounds like they've helped you out a lot through hard times. You know it. Wow, what the heck? Is that book even bigger than the last one you were reading?
It's technically slightly longer, but not by very much.
How high do you think it would be if you stacked up the whole series?
Natsuki estimates by holding her hand high above her head, sizing up an imaginary stack.
I actually get one of those manga that are like 50 volumes long, so I could say I've read more than you. Not that I have the money for that.
Please, that would hardly count when your book's only a few words per page.
I know, I was just joking. I could never actually read books like yours. It's too boring for me.
Yuri shoots a glare at Natsuki. It's not boring.
Chill, I said for me, not for you. I can have my own opinion. I just think it's too convoluted.
Well, you haven't found a book series that long you actually enjoyed. I remember when I read the Percy Jackson books in middle school. They were like 7 books long, and each book was probably at least 300 pages or so. But you know what? Those books were well written and actually very fun to read. I had no problem binge reading the entire series from start to finish because it was just that much fun for me. So maybe if Natsuki could find a series like that she could enjoy, the length of the book wouldn't really matter.
Sorry, are those from the floor?
He's like, she's eating cookies off the floor.
Gross. Also, wash your hands before touching any of my books. But my hands aren't dirty. Just do it. The oils are there even if you can't see them. Fine.
Sayuri trots out the door, and Natsuki follows.
Yuri, you look a little upset.
What kind of nerve does she have to call my hobby boring?
Well, she did correct herself.
Hardly. She was so condescending. I don't mind if she thinks it's not for her. I already understand that's not for everyone. But she knows well how much these mean to me. So how about just leaving me alone instead of needlessly telling me the things you hate about it? Well, isn't that what you do to her? Hello, Miss Kettle? This is Pot Call. She says you're black.
I'm sorry, Yuri. You may be right. This won't be the last time people have strong feelings about what they like and don't like. Especially in the literature club. So I should figure out how to mediate discussions that keep them positive and constructive. For the record, I've always been impressed by the level of creativity in your books. And also your ability to get through them so quickly.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, this is something that I have to think about and revisit. I'm sure I can help Natsuki find some common ground with you.
Common ground isn't necessary. I just wish to be respected.
That then. Either way, I'll do my best.
I'm skeptical when it comes to Natsuki. I trust you, Monica, but I'm skeptical. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, I wonder if we could fix the relationship between Yuri and Natsuki.
Okay, everyone. We have a special club meeting today. As you know, the Literature Club is a place where we all get to share things that we're really passionate about. But that also means we should be mindful of how we respond to each other's feelings. I think we have a chance to turn our differences into positive energy for each other. Aren't you being a little dramatic about this? This is important to me. Well, sorry. I just feel like I'm being accused of or something.
No, Natsuki, not everything is about you. I mean, you're involved in this because you're part of the club, but not everything's about you.
No, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm sorry if it came off that way. But our conversation yesterday made me reflect on the power of language, and I thought it would be a good topic for the Literature Club. Don't you think? I'm sure we're going to have differences in opinion a lot, so I need to make sure we're prepared to keep a positive atmosphere in the club. If you say so. Sure. The cool thing about language is that it gives us a lot of different ways to express the same ideas or emotion. We have a lot of control over how we want the other person to feel when receiving our thought. This goes for poetry, narratives, casual conversation, basically anything. For example, sorry, what's your favorite food? I have them organized by category. Should I start with snacks or do you mean like full meals? Should I include breakfast? Oh jeez. Okay, how about your favorite fruit? That's easy. Cherries. Really? I always thought cherries tasted nasty. What? Cherries are delicious. Wow, that's a pretty strong reaction. Well, I just don't understand how somebody could think cherries are nasty. How does it make you feel? I don't know. Sad? Defensive, maybe? Yeah, I got defensive. See? The reason you have such a strong reaction wasn't because I don't like cherries. It's because you felt like your opinion was under attack. But that's weird, right? Something like taste is completely subjective. But when I say something like, I think cherries taste nasty, I'm using objective language. I'm challenging Sayuri's reality that cherries are delicious with my own, which is that cherries are nasty. I reject your reality and substitute my own. Wait, hold on. How is that objective? when you just said it was only your own opinion?
Well, even though her opinion is subjective, she's stating an absolute, which is objective. She's using an objective absolute to state her subjective opinion.
It has to do with the way our brains interpret the words. You're talking about the reality of the cherries, not your feelings about them. Like Sayori. Let's rewind for a second and pretend I didn't tell you that I think cherries are nasty. Good. So what if instead that I said like, I tried cherries and they're not for me. It's not the kind of flavor I enjoy. Well, that's fine. As long as you don't call them nasty. Nasty is a nasty word. Okay, so cherries was kind of a weird example, but I think it gets the point across. This time around, instead of talking about cherries, I just talked about my feelings, and Sayori didn't get defensive. So instead of clashing with each other, it's like we received an invitation to talk about our differences. Yuri, you don't need to take notes. I'm not gonna quiz you or something.
Yuri's taking notes in the background. He's like, subjective language and objective reality. I know that. I was just...
Sorry, I didn't mean to call you out. You can do whatever you like. But does anyone have any thoughts so far?
Natsuki, I knew Natsuki was going to speak up.
It's like, yeah. I just don't feel like I shouldn't have to put all my language through a filter just to protect someone's feelings. Well, you don't have to. The choice is yours on how you want to come across to other people. I'm only suggesting it as a tool to help you turn your differences into a positive experience, rather than an argument. Right, Sayori? Sayori's like, I don't care, I'm picking a fight no matter what. Whatever you say, cherry hater.
Whatever you say, cherry hater. Fucking cherry hater. Fucking cherry hater. No, it was like snobbish, uptight little bitch. I love Sayori in these side stories, man. Sayori's like her breath of fresh air.
Oh, come on. Sorry, I actually like cherries. I was just saying that to help demonstrate. What the heck? It's like, what the heck? I've been duped! I'm sorry, Sayori. I'll make it up to you later. How about a cherry sundae? You're welcome to dupe me anytime, my beloved president.
Buying your people's loyalty. How deplorable.
Oh, like you would turn down a free sundae, Yuri. You were certainly a fan of those cupcakes I brought in the other week.
That was... I mean... I was reading and not keeping track of them.
Oh, that's enough. We're getting off topic. So, now we have the gist of it. How about we try it with something more related to the club? Or more relevant to the club, rather. Like manga, right? Let's try to put a productive discussion about our differences on opinion. Our differences in opinion. Yuri, why don't you Yuri, do you want to start?
Monica, please don't do this. Well, I'd rather not, no.
Aw, how come?
Because I'm going to say something Natsuki is going to want to choke me out over. Well, because I don't see how anything productive can come from that. It's just going to start a fight. That's pretty much what I said.
No, it'll be fine. That's why I'm here to moderate. Let's just have a calm and rational discussion. Yeah, give me a little more credit. I'm not a child, you don't have to coddle my feelings. I always think it's more respectful to just speak your mind.
Respectable. Yuri's expression changes at that word. As Monica recalls, being respectful was the crux of the matter for Yuri.
Well, the point of this exercise isn't exactly, like...
It's fine. I have nothing against anyone personally. You're entitled to enjoy whatever it is you like. I just prefer more depth and nuance in my reading material. Well, manga can be depth and nuance. It just depends on how the story is written. Just because there's a lot of pictures and things are in dialogue bubbles doesn't mean there can't be any depth and nuance in the story. It depends on how the story is written. Maybe Natsuki might like for slice of life or manga with simple storylines, but there are plenty of manga out there that have deep and complex and nuanced storylines. Take Full Metal Alchemist, for example. That was a pretty nuanced storyline. Steins Gate, Death Note. Death Note was a very nuanced and depth-filled storyline of a manga. There are plenty of manga out there that have depth and nuance to them, though. I look for stories that are imaginative and sophisticated beyond the surface level.
Oh, well, that's just a misunderstanding then. I thought you were going to say that manga's for children or something. Like I don't hear that enough. But there's plenty of deep manga.
I'm not clueless about manga. I've read my own fair share when I was younger.
What? Are you serious?
Oh, Yuri read manga. Wow. It's a side story Saga exclusive here. I never knew that. But I guess she just grew out of it because she became more sophisticated, right?
How come you never told me?
Because I'm past that point in my life, and I really prefer not to revisit it. Oh, okay, so that's what it is. So Yuri doesn't like to associate with things in her past, and manga was one of those things in her past, so she just wants to have nothing to do with it. I prefer more mature things now.
Excuse me? Okay, hold on. Can I jump in here? Let's try to keep things subjective. Because if you imply that manga's immature, then aren't you implying that someone's immature for being into it?
Aye. Uh-oh.
Well, maybe it's immature to judge people for having different tastes than you. Natsuki. Nobody's immature. I've read Natsuki's manga and Yuri's fantasy, and I love them both in their own way. Okay. It's great that you like it, but I still find it boring. Boring isn't subjective. Okay, it bores me. That's subjective. But, I mean, the thing about...
This is ridiculous. Do you see why I didn't want to participate in this? I knew it was just going to make people upset.
I'm not upset. Like I said, I don't care what other people think. But I always got the impression that you secretly looked down upon me, so I'm just glad my suspicions were confirmed.
That's not true at all. You're making assumptions. You can't blame me for getting defensive when nobody even has the least bit of respect for the things that I'm into. The only thing I look down upon is when people make fun of me for just being myself and trying to mind my own business.
What? Have you looked in the mirror? Tell me again about respect after calling all of my interests immature.
You can't!
Please stop. Oh, please stop. Please. You don't mean the things that you're saying right now. Let's just be friends.
Boy, tension's so high right now. You could cut tension with a knife, man.
I didn't mean for this to happen.
Well, it did. So please don't invite yourself to try and solve other people's problems next time. Okay?
Damn.
Damn, when Yuri's upset, she pulls no punches. She goes for the neck. Every time. Yuri's piercing words set the clubroom into a choked silence as she gathers her things. She leaves. Natsuki's probably gonna leave too.
Holy crap. I've never heard her sound like that before. She must be so pissed. Well, you weren't very nice either, so... I was just saying. How did this happen? It's my fault. Yuri wasn't wrong. I shouldn't have tried to moderate a conflict when I know how bad I am at dealing with conflicts. It was a really stupid thing for me to do.
Well, I mean, you tried. You never know how things are going to work out unless you try them. It's just that this is just something that they're always going to disagree about. Unless Natsuki and Yuri could come to their own kind of understanding, which will be difficult because they both see each other as complete opposites instead of people that could be friends.
It's nobody's fault, and it wasn't stupid. Everyone in the club is a nice person. Nobody would have expected this. But I guess we're sensitive about the things we really love. Honestly, she kind of brought it upon herself.
Natsuki, okay, you need to chill.
Like I said, I don't care if you're not into manga, but if you actually look down at other people for it, that's kind of the point I was trying to make in the first place. It's not about sugarcoating things, it's about just recognizing and understanding our differences. Okay, but here's the thing about that. Yuri actually looks down on me. It has nothing to do with her word choice or anything like that. So I see what you're trying to do, but I really think the problem is her. Not just like the way we talk to each other, right? I mean, Yuri isn't like that. She's a lot sweeter than you're giving her credit for. I'm sure she'll be reflecting on this. I actually think everyone should. It'll be fine. I'll figure something out.
Monika's like, nah, it'll be fine. But then Yuri's like, nah, it won't be fine. I'm not coming back.
Wow. I just said that. I just like saying that instinctively. I'm just setting myself up to cause more problems. And this wasn't your fault, Monika. You don't have to beat yourself up over it. If you ask me, it's good that the truth finally came out. Because I can just move on now. But, it's fine, I promise. Let's just get our minds off this, okay? In fact, it's a good opportunity to read some manga without having to worry about feeding Yuri's superiority complex. Don't be mean. I'll talk or read manga or whatever you want, but don't be mean to my friends, okay? Sorry. I'm just bitter.
Well, Natsuki, I thought you didn't care about other people. I mean, if you didn't care so much about other people, I don't know why you're worried about feeding Yuri's superiority complex, quote-unquote. And I don't know why you're so bitter if you don't care about other people's feelings, right?
Everything will be okay. I mean, I don't have the answers, but I at least know that we're all good people and don't want to hurt each other. This will be a learning experience.
Monika says that, but her uneasiness is given away by how much she has to force the reassuring tone in her voice. This is bound to happen eventually. Natsuki and Yuri have always engaged with each other the least out of anyone, and this is the reason. As Sayuri and Natsuki proceed to distract themselves with manga, Monika sighs to herself, unable to shake her worried thoughts. Will the club really have to come to terms with the fact that some of the members are just incompatible with each other? Which is pretty sad because there's only, 4 people? What happens when half the club doesn't want to talk to each other? Monika desperately doesn't want to admit that, and she knows Sayuri doesn't either. But for once, a solution doesn't seem to be in sight. Well, can we find a solution to our problem? I guess we have to tune in next time to find out. So, we'll see how this goes. We're going to continue on with Reflection Part D. A new day arrives. Sayuri arrives at the club room earlier than usual. That is, not late. As she enters, it appears to be empty still. So, she sits down at the desk and pulls out a sheet of paper, primed to jot down her thoughts. Sayuri has made a habit of scribbling her thoughts and feelings onto paper whenever possible, as it tends to serve as her best inspiration for poetry.
My heart feels vacant because a ship has sailed away. Yo. Hey! Yeah! Natsuki?
Natsuki pokes her head in from behind the closet door.
Haha, sorry. Didn't mean to scare you. But it would have been a lot more awkward if I didn't say anything.
Yeah, true.
I doubt you want me listening on your poetry thing. Yeah. Thanks for realizing that. Should I let you finish up then? Oh no, it wasn't. I mean, I just do it whenever it's convenient. I'm not interrupting. Where's Monika, by the way? Oh, she's out in the hallway. Huh? Why? Well, just in case she runs into Yuri. Sometimes Yuri's too nervous to come into the clubroom by herself, so... Oh. Jeez. Does Yuri really let things bother her for that long?
I mean, it's been what, a day? Like, give her a little bit of time. I can see if it was like 2 or 3 days or like a week. Then you could say that.
She can't control her feelings. For some people, it's really hard to cope with when you have a bad thought in your head. Maybe you can distract yourself for a little while, but as soon as it's just you and your thoughts again, it comes back. I just want to have a normal club meeting. It's a lot easier to pretend like it never happened if we all just ignore it and move on. I don't want to be bothered by this. It's so stupid. Her opinion of me doesn't matter anyway.
Then why are you so hung up on it?
Besides, it makes me feel really guilty, and I hate that too. It's okay to have feelings. It doesn't make you weak. Let's figure this out together. Fine. Only because you're good at this stuff. Let's try to come up with a happy scene.
You know, it's funny how everybody relies on Sayori for like being the emotional support and being like the emotional like relationship person to help everybody feel better and get along, when she's the one that like needs the most help out of all the other girls. It's just really funny in a sort of sad way, you know.
Maybe this will help us understand where your bad feelings are coming from. Well, I was happy the way things were before we had to have that conversation yesterday. What part of the conversation made you upset? Was it Yuri being mean about the manga? Maybe. I doubt it though. Because my friends and other people make fun of manga all the time, but I just brush it off and ignore them. Something about it really got me this time, and I hate that I'm letting that happen. Is it because it came from Yuri? No! Why would that matter? I mean... Well, maybe. I hate that she thinks she's so much better than me, just because she likes to pretend to be all sophisticated. Yeah, that's what it is. At least other people decide that they don't like me, or manga, or whatever. But Yuri acts like she's too good to even give it a chance. I'm sorry. Everyone deserves a chance. Yeah, exactly. Why don't you give Yuri's books a chance? Ha! After this? Obviously not. What about before this? Well, I would until I got bored, which wouldn't take very long. But if you actually keep an open mind, then it's not hard to realize that a story can be deep and meaningful without being needlessly complicated. I see. But you know, I like Yuri's books. Yeah, but you like manga more, right?
Sayori shakes her head.
I like them both. I like them in different ways, but I like them both. I mean, the manga, it's really honest and fun, and easy to just let go with. And the fantasy has a lot to interpret and uncover, and it's really rewarding to have some good quiet time together with it. But the most important thing is that both the manga and the fantasy are true to themselves. So, I love them both. And I think there's room for both of them to be in the same club together. And I just feel like, maybe they have more in common than you would think.
That's very insightful, Sayori. I don't know how Sayori does it, she's just always very insightful.
How do you get along with everyone so well?
Well, Natsuki, part of it is because Sayori is very emotionally intelligent, also part of it is because it helps her cope with her depression.
I always get into fights with people. Like, first it was with Monica, when I was new to the club, and then it was with you, and now it's Yuri. And I'm always like, oh, that person's being such a jerk, and if you just realize that, then we can at least get along. But nobody ever has this problem. I just keep running away from the reality that everybody's just a jerk to me because nobody likes me. And I don't know why, and I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Well, because the thing is, Natsuki, you come off as abrasive, you come off as rude, you come off as kind of harsh sometimes because you're so worried about people beating you down that you just want to beat people down first. You know, you just have all these defensive walls up. You're just kind of pushing people away from you. But you need people who are mature enough, or at least know people enough to look past that and realize that, oh, you're actually not a bad person. You just want somebody to just treat you like you're cool. So hey, you found some people who are willing to treat you as cool.
I hate it. Natsuki.
Sari puts a comforting hand on Natsuki's shoulder.
You're a wonderful person. You deserve to be loved as much as everyone else. Everyone has different ways they like to communicate, you know? And sometimes that makes it harder for us to understand each other. I think that sometimes we get lucky and we make friends who are really good at the same kinds of communication. And it feels like you magically connect with them. But other times, even if both people are really nice, it's easy for them to misunderstand each other, or to get the communication wrong. And something that Yuri struggles a lot with too. It can be really hard. It takes a lot of, reflection and self-awareness. And vulnerability.
Ah, there's the key. Natsuki was both of those things. She can reflect. And she's self-aware. But she does like to be vulnerable.
I'm bad at that one. Vulnerability. I always have to be the strongest. What do you mean? Tell me about that part of you. Well, it sounds stupid, but I'm really used to people being mean to me. Like my friends, and I guess my dad. Like when I don't get good grades, or even stupid things like if my room isn't clean. So what am I gonna do? Cry about it? If I let myself get upset, then it's just letting them win. I'm better than that. I'm better than all of them. So, things always have to be everyone else's fault.
It's exactly like I said earlier. Dog, I'm too clean with the game. I'm reading all these girls like fiddles, dog. Reading them like fiddles.
It feels like if something goes wrong, then there's even a tiny hint that it might be my fault. Then I just get really angry, and I find ways to blame everything else instead. Do you see yourself as better than Yuri?
Wow, that's a good question.
If I said that, then I would just sound really full of myself. No. Our thoughts and our feelings are two different things. Even if we don't like our feelings, we have to understand them if we want to learn more about themselves. That's a part of vulnerability, you know? Accepting that we have feelings that we don't like. I hate that. My feelings make me a bad person. Because my feelings just want to tell me that I'm so much better than her. And she's a judgmental know-it-all who's stuck in her edgy phase and that I'm way above that garbage. But I'm terrible for feeling that way. You're not terrible. You are not your feelings. But you are not your feelings. Say that to yourself, out loud. Fine. I am not my feelings. The way I like to picture it is that those feelings are like your roommate. You live in the same house and you gotta see each other each day. You have to see each other every day. And even if you can ignore each other for most of the time, you're gonna run into each other every now and then. And it's gonna make you feel like poop. So, the other option is to get to know each other. You can communicate and learn from each other, and maybe even help each other change for the better. Does that help you understand? How do you know so much about this stuff? I just have a roommate that can be really hard to get along with.
So she's speaking from personal experience. That's why she knows so much about this stuff. And Sari is very emotional intelligent because she has to be very emotional intelligent to deal with her own problems. And she has a lot of time to reflect and to learn about human nature, I suppose, because like I said, she has a lot of time to reflect on her own problems.
Called depression.
Oh, wow! She just straight up tells Natsuki that she has depression. So Monica had to find out by reading her poems. And she just straight up tells Natsuki that she has depression.
Depression? Depression? But you're like the happiest person I know. I am not my feelings.
And Natsuki's like, dang. If Sayori can be depressed and be like that, what does that make me?
I want to be a good person like you. Aw, you little sweetheart. We're all good people.
You know, reading this just makes me really upset about what happens to Sayori in the base game. Because Sayori goes through so much, but she still does her best to be a good person to everybody else. Which makes it so sad to think about what happens to her in the base game. Like, and I think that Monica might have done that to her, despite everything that Sayori has done for Monica and how close they've been with each other. That's really upsetting, I'm going to be completely honest with you.
You and Yuri and Monica. And I think Yuri will eventually learn that about you.
Natsuki remains silent, feeling a little overwhelmed. Despite Sayori's kind reassurance, a complicated mixture of pain and sadness seemed to fill her, and still flowing through a wound inside of her. Flowing from a wound. Was it a result of her vulnerability? No. It wasn't as though she was inflicted a wound after becoming vulnerable. It was as though she began to rediscover an old wound, one that couldn't simply be bandaged and left alone any longer. We're learning a lot about ourselves, and the girls. This is a good episode. Oh, a new background.
Yuri, what are you doing all the way over here? I was looking for you.
Please don't yell at me.
Oh, I'm not going to yell at you. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry about what happened yesterday. It wasn't fair of me to put everyone on the spot like that. Next time, I won't just try to jump in and solve everyone's problems. I guess it's just a bad habit of mine.
You're not mad at me?
I thought you were the one mad at me.
I was so awful yesterday. Yuri curls up, recalling the details of the argument. I can't even have a normal conversation without saying something wrong and making everyone upset.
Hold on, that's not what happened at all. Let's talk about this, okay?
Yuri pauses for a second, then manages to nod. Monica takes a seat next to her on the staircase. I'm having a lot of negative thought patterns and I can't get away from them.
What kind of negative thought patterns?
Like everyone hates me. Especially Natsuki.
Aw, that's terrible. I don't think Natsuki hates you.
How do you know?
Well, because...
Monica thinks back to a time that she herself found herself in an altercation with Natsuki, and how a display of maturity from Monica was enough for Natsuki to reevaluate her own feelings as well.
I think Natsuki is just naturally defensive. I think she acts mean when she feels the need to protect herself. But you know, she's really not a bad person. In fact, I think she can be really thoughtful and considerate. She just, well, I guess the way it works is that she wants to receive some degree of kindness first, before she feels comfortable returning it.
Oh, but that means the burden is on me, and I don't know how to say things that make people like me. Every time I open my mouth, I just... Yuri shakes her head at herself and tugs on her hair.
It's okay, Yuri. You don't have to beat yourself up. I think anyone would like to know. I think anyone would like you if they had the chance to get to know you.
Well, unfortunately, the opposite is true. That's why I'm not talkative anymore in the first place. Because everyone used to think I was weird and talk about me behind my back. I really find that interesting because she's a very pretty girl. You would think somebody would come up and talk to Yuri, but I guess not. That's just what happens when I draw attention to myself. Natsuki even said she found me more respectable. Natsuki even said she found it more respectable when people speak their mind. So I did. And then she hated me anyway. That was enough to confirm my fears.
But Sayori and I like you, and we've gotten to know you a lot by now, right?
Yuri doesn't seem to have a response.
Hey, what do you think of Natsuki?
I don't think about her.
That's not what I mean. That's not what I meant, really.
I just...
I was just wondering if you have an opinion of her.
I do, but I don't want to say it. I... do.
What is it?
Natsuki seems to bring out the worst in me, and I feel really ashamed of it. I like to think of myself as a fairly sophisticated person. So for someone to just treat me like I'm inferior, despite my tastes, that's just the worst kind of insult coming from someone like her. And it makes me think bad things about her. But everyone seems to like her, so the only explanation is that it's me who's doing something wrong again. And my feelings about her are wrong. And I'm wrong to get upset over something so childish and inconsequential.
No, Yuri. Feelings are never wrong.
Well, they're not right.
That's the thing. Feelings are never right or wrong, you know? They're just a state of being, and we don't always have control over. But that doesn't mean they have to control us. I feel like that's something I've learned around when I first started the club. We can hate ourselves for feeling a certain way about things, or we can, just acknowledge that they exist and try to understand them better. I can never be mad at you for just feeling a certain way. It's about how you handle them. And I think working through feelings is a great opportunity for teamwork.
You know, Monica, this was the first instance of you being a very good leader. And being a good mediator for conflict. You know, Monica, you're growing. You're growing, Monica. I'm proud of you. But my question is, when does Monica get her epiphany to turn her from someone who actually cares about her friends to somebody who wanted nothing more than to screw them over? Obviously, this happens sometime between these side stories of the base game. I'm just wondering if we're going to see that or not. Yuri wears a dejected expression. You make it sound so easy.
Well, no one said it was easy.
You're so mature. And so good with people. Really? I mean, really? It's coming from the same person who felt so awkward to give you a flyer that she just walked in, placed the flyer on your desk, and left. I would say Monica just had a lot more opportunity to deal with conflict and, I guess, self-reflect. I guess that's kind of what being mature is, just being able to reflect on what's going on around you and responding accordingly. I feel like such a child in comparison.
Oh, Yuri. I'm far from perfect. But these are learned skills. They don't come naturally to me either. It's really hard to, reflect on yourself and separate your feelings from your thoughts.
I just want to be a good person.
Well, I think it takes a good person to get this far.
That's not good enough. I want to be able to communicate it to her.
Communicate what?
How I feel. How it makes me feel frustrated and upset when she's so negative and dismissive of the things that mean so much to me.
Well, it's kind of what you've been doing to her. I'm seeing a lot of parallels here between Natsuki and Yuri about what they said and how they feel toward each other, and why they feel so defensive about what they like. This is what Sayori said earlier when she said that you two are more alike than you think you are. And it seems like Natsuki and Yuri are both like each other, but at different stages of their lives. Natsuki passed her edgy, wanna be alone phase. Yuri's in her edgy, wanna be alone phase. Yuri said she passed her I like manga and being a child phase. And Natsuki's in her I like manga, quote unquote, child phase,
So it's like they kind of swap the two stages of their lives where they're at right now. And how it reminds me of me. Because I know what it's like to feel understood and angry at everyone. I know that telling yourself you're better than everyone is just a defense mechanism. We're just people. We're fragile and unstable. But I'm just tired of that getting in the way. I can't stand it when the peace is disturbed like this.
Yeah, you can't focus on your reading when the peace is disturbed, right?
Because the literature clubs should be happy for everyone. Monica looks at Yuri in adoration. Yuri is growing. Yuri is developing as a character. I'm so proud.
I feel like Sayori must be rubbing off on me, because I really want to hug you right now. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable.
No, I mean, well, if you wanted to, then I wouldn't really mind, so... Monica pulls Yuri into a short embrace.
Aw, you're so gentle. And I love it when you communicate your feelings. I feel lucky to get to see that side of you. And I'm sure Natsuki will too.
I'm going to write her a letter.
Oh, a letter? What a great idea!
Just because I'm not good at talking, especially under pressure. Under pressure. Press it down on me. Press it down on you. No man asks for. Under pressure. I always let my feelings get the best of me, and I forget to say all the important things, and I say things I don't mean.
Well, I think a letter would be wonderful. Such a nice way to communicate.
Yuri's face hardens with determination. People don't naturally gravitate towards me like they do for you and Sayori. My personality just isn't suited for that. Well, I mean, that's true as long as you think that's the case. If you try to become more approachable, I suppose, actually become better with talking with people, you might find people gravitate toward you. And I would want it to be. But sometimes I've learned that friendship doesn't always just magically appear out of thin air. For instance, I never would have seen myself making friends with someone like Sayori. We're opposite in a lot of ways, but I'm friends with her because she put in so much effort into understanding me, so that we can get along. I think it should be the same. I think it was the same with you. You both gave me a lot of time and patience, and I wonder if she feels the same way.
Natsuki?
Yuri nods. I always thought that if I wanted to make more friends, I had to be somebody that I'm not. That there's a type of person or a magical formula that I have to follow in order to make someone like me. But that's just like me to think that. Always so occupied with myself that I fail to understand other people. Yuri shakes her head. Friendship happens when you think about the other person. When you offer time and effort to understand them and respect them and trust that they also want to be a good person. That's what I learned through my observation in the literature club.
Observations?
Monica's caught by surprise. Yuri has always kept to herself so much that it's so unusual to hear her suddenly talk about the club like this. But Yuri gently smiles to herself. You always let me listen into your thoughts about people. Sorry too. And it makes me happy, because I learn a lot of things.
That's so sweet. I had no idea it meant that much to you.
Monica never thought much of it, but in the past weeks, Yuri always seemed to be especially attentive when it came to the problems and concerns of others. Always wanting to listen, and learn more about her friends in the club. It's true. Sayori and Monica are naturally more comfortable with other people, and can more easily work through situations of conflict. Sayori especially. But it doesn't make them better people. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, and the capacity to improve. And it's the first step toward improving oneself as reflection and self-awareness. It's something that Yuri never gave herself enough credit for, but that Monika can recognize as an incredible trait. And with that, her confidence in the club is restored. A very shy girl with long pretty hair is wandering the bustling lunchtime hallways, her fist pressed to her collarbone. When she finds the literature club's president classroom, she stands at the door, glancing all around her before peering inside. Monika is sitting and chatting with a group of unknown friends. Yeah, as expected, this was a bad idea after all. Suddenly, Monika glances toward the door, making the girl panic and duck out of sight. Before she could regain composure and decide for sure to leave, the classroom door gently opens.
Yuri? What a surprise to see you during lunch.
Yuri squeaks a response. Please help me.
What? Is everything okay?
Yuri shakes her head. I don't know how to write letters. Oh, that's cute.
Thank goodness. I thought there was some kind of emergency.
Monika briefly glances over her shoulder at her other friends.
Do you want some help? We can go find an empty classroom or something.
Is that okay? I feel bad taking you away from your friends.
It's totally fine, I promise. We weren't really doing anything. One sec.
Monika trots back into her classroom, saying something like, I gotta go, to her friends, then grabbing a pen off her desk before returning to Yuri.
Okay, let's find somewhere quiet.
Yuri nods and follows Monika as the two of them set off. How are you today?
Huh? Me?
Well, yes.
Oh gosh, sorry. I was just caught off guard. I'm doing well today. Just tired. I never seem to get enough sleep during the week.
Ugh, I've been there. How come?
Oh, I don't know. I think I'm just easily distracted. I get really sucked into things and start neglecting the time.
Me too. I do that too.
Hey, this classroom's empty. Let's go in here.
After peering inside, Monika opens the classroom door, and the two of them enter. Yuri's moment of relaxation ends. She watches as Monika pulls two chairs up to the same desk, then obeys as Monika beckons her to take a seat. I thought the chairs were connected to the desk. But in this picture, that doesn't look like to be the case. She sits down at the empty desk.
You nervous?
I don't want to do this.
We don't. We don't have to. We can come up with something else.
Yuri shakes her head. It's my chance to do something good. I need to take initiative.
Gosh, you must really be determined.
You could say her desire to write a letter to Natsuki has filled her with determination.
I know how hard it is to step out of your comfort zone. I'll be sure to encourage you.
Yuri pushes through her anxiety and grabs a handful of lined paper from her notebook. Then she picks up her pen. And we get this CG. And now I learned how to hide the text box. So I'm happy. Oh, but they do that? Oh, that's so lame. I'll just do this instead.
Hey, you're left-handed. That's neat.
Oh. Yeah.
Now I don't have to worry about bumping your arm.
Monika playfully rubs her shoulder against Yuri's.
Sorry, I was just being silly, I guess. Anyway, how about we start by listening to different things you want to say to her?
You know, this is a very nice scene, you know. This allows Monika to express, you know, parts of herself we don't really get to see. It shows that at the end of the day that, like in the base game, like Monika tries to be like really, you know, perfect and everything like that, but at the end of the day, Monika's just a regular girl like everyone else. And she's not really as approachable, she's not really as unapproachable or unattainable as the main character thought she was. She's just a human. And I really like how these side stories like, actually humanize Monika's character. Which again just makes all the more upsetting with how Monika turned out in the base game. Yuri thinks. I feel embarrassed all of a sudden.
Aw, it's okay. How about some of the things you said to me yesterday?
But... never mind. I guess I'll try it. Yuri thinks for a moment longer, her tension evident. Then she writes the word reflection. This is about my reflection on our behavior. The key question is why we act like this towards each other. But have been able to separately be friends with Sayori and Monika.
That's me! That's me!
Yes, it is. So, Yuri thinks. I have been able to befriend the two of you because you've taken the time to understand my needs and respect my interests.
The same goes for Natsuki, too. We started off as pretty hostile toward each other because I was so worried about getting what I wanted. But she just wanted to be respected more than anything else. Once I stopped making it about me, she was able to do the same.
I want to do that too.
So what kind of things do you want to do for her?
I want to do the same things for her that I'd like to receive. I like it when people respond positively to the things I talk about, and not just brush me off. I like it when my feelings are taken seriously.
You know, she and Natsuki are both complaining about the same things, but they don't see it.
And I like it when you and Sayori trust that I want to be a good person, even when I'm not doing a good job at it.
Well, let's write those things down.
Okay.
Yuri writes some things down. I think the most important thing to remember here is that Natsuki is feeling vulnerable, so we should make sure that the letter puts her first. And it's hard when you're feeling hurt, but it never helps to just tell someone all the things that they're doing wrong. I think first you have to make sure that they know you're ready to respect them and listen to them, and admit the things that you feel they could do better. Then finally, you can ask them what you like in return.
Oh, you actually see them writing stuff out at the bottom.
How does that sound for the structure? It could be 3 paragraphs, 1 for each of those points.
I like that. My thoughts were so disorganized, I have no idea how to come up with any kind of structure. You're so amazing at these things. Now let's just take a moment to appreciate the photograph.
Oh, stop. You've done so much better than I have, you know. You spent so much time reflecting and being open-minded. That's the hardest thing for anyone to do. All I'm doing is helping you put that on a piece of paper. So I think you're the amazing one.
Monika gives Yuri's hand a quick squeeze. But as she lets go, she's caught by surprise when Yuri curls her fingers to hook Monika's hand in place. For a while, they just sit like that in silence, save for the occasional scratching of Yuri's pen against the paper. A shame we don't get to see that, though. Yesterday, you told me something that I'm thinking about a lot.
What was that?
The thing about her feelings aren't right or wrong, and that they're just a state of being that we need to come to terms with. I may think that how a person's behavior isn't always how they decide to be. It's also made up of their past experiences and their insecurities. I think that helps me see other people as actual people, rather than as insignificant side characters who are out to get me somehow.
Is that how you felt about Natsuki?
Yuri nods. Natsuki's just an insignificant side character out of her way to get me. But, in reality, everyone is always trying their best, and everyone wants to be happy. Monika peers over at Yuri's paper, but to her surprise, Yuri pulls it closer, partially covering it with her arm.
I have to be able to read it to help out, you know.
It's okay. My thoughts are a lot more organized now, after being able to talk to you about it. Now that I'm actually putting it on paper, I realize that I really prefer not to read it. I really prefer others not to read it. Yuri laughed softly to herself, a rare expression. I'm kind of glad to hear that, actually. I somehow keep finding ways to butt into this whole thing. I've done enough damage, hahaha. But it's also been so wonderful talking about this. I mean, I've always thought you were really smart, but... Yuri smiles. I'll always be terrible at these things. People are just so incomprehensible to me. I'll never get the hang of being one. But listening to you so much is really helping me make sense of some things. So just don't call it damage, please. Monica gives Yuri a gentle smile. I can't believe I came to this club looking for fantasy geeks, and all I got was real friends who value me. Is that a joke? Of course it is. She's like, I came here just to find people who want to geek out about fantasy books and Annabelle DuPont. But all I got was just some yahoos that actually like me as a person. What the heck is this? I still can't tell with you. Sorry. No, I love it. Please, never change. As you wish. Yuri glances at the clock. We're almost out of time. Will you be able to finish? Before the end of the day, probably. But I don't want to come to the club the same time as Natsuki reads it. Oh, the same day that Natsuki reads it. I'm too shy. I can give it to her instead, if you like. Yuri nods. As long as you promise not to read it. Of course, I promise. Thank you. Yuri exhales, and the two stand up. I'll message you when it's ready. Monica nods. Good luck. I'm here if you need me. Yuri returned the nod, and the two depart. Alright, well, let's see how the conflict is. Oh, that's what the next side story is going to be. Got it. Okay, well, if you're excited to see how this story resolves into the exciting conclusion, be sure to stay tuned for the next episode and final installment of the Side Story Saga. Actually, no, wait. Hold on, I can do that better. Give me a second. Hold on. Alright, now stay tuned for the next installment of the Side Story Saga. And in case, I want to thank you guys for watching. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you enjoyed. Again, your boy's trying to hit at least 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I'm working and grinding really hard. And if you appreciate what I'm doing, just let me know by liking and subscribing, because that really would help me out a lot, and it would mean a lot to me. But in any case, it's been real. It's been fun. It's your boy, JQilin. Ciao for now.